Yes, yes. Hello, lovely beings. Here we are again on YouTube with our ring talks. And you're very, very welcome. And we have several people here, and we're going to talk about being different. Being different and embracing it. And it's about like you being yourself. Maybe you're being different than most people, but also if you're always the same as anybody else and doing the same, you don't make a difference in this world. Oh, I have to put that YouTube on. Sorry. I have to put, we're going to talk about being. I have to put the volume down. Sorry. Where is it? Oh, here. Now I put this volume down. Yeah. So now I can do that. So by being the same as anybody else, you don't make a difference. So it's really important because this world needs the difference that you make. And like be the change you want to see in the world, but also be the difference you want to see in the world. And I want to ask you also who's here, like, how is that for you? Like for being different?
Who goes first?
You, I believe.
And how was that journey for you? Like that understanding that you might be different than most.
Understanding that you're different. I think that journey starts when I was very young. Always, I think in reflection, I never really identified with any of the groups that were around at the schools. You know, we had the sporty people and the rock people and the punk people. I always figured in every group was one or two people that I would resonate with, but never enough to actually change my whole style around it. So I think in hindsight it's lucky that I was looking at it from that perspective, because I never identified with anything from a young age. Just identify with yourself, being different. I think back then it felt like being left out, like everybody knew some kind of secrets that I didn't know. It took growing up, I guess, and seeing more of the world, where you realize that there wasn't really an identity in these groups. They were just like copying each other, and kind of like you see in that Pink Floyd video, all becoming the same kind of sausage. So yeah, I think in hindsight, it kind of forced me to develop myself in a different kind of way. So yeah, being different. If I would translate it to how I look at it right now, it's more or less. I would phrase it as in a diversity. It's not like that we're all the same in a sense. I mean, our psychological feeling and awareness is basically the same, but our experiences are different. And even men and women are different in a way. And if you can celebrate these diversities, it's not even a competition. So in that sense, I don't mind being different. I also don't mind somebody else being different. They usually have something new to tell me. It makes me curious most of the time. But that's also something that makes me different, I've I've noticed, because most people look for things that are the same. They're trying to find security in things that they recognize. And I seek adventure in things that I don't know, that I haven't experienced yet. So there's a kind of a difference there too. Yeah. Maybe Ricardo can elaborate on it a little bit more.
I resonated with what you were saying as well. I never fitted in because I never had the urge to fit in. But somehow it felt also alone. So it was really paradoxical for me, at least. Also. But I always felt a strange because I knew on a very young age I was different as well.
Mm.
I think it's beautiful. Now I see the beauty in it. But there lies also authenticity, right? Like
Yeah.
I was so afraid of being myself. And I think that's the biggest fear in being different. The fear of not belonging to something else outside of yourself.
Mm.
I needed to embrace it, and I was very proud that I like a weirdo. It helped,
Mm.
but I needed to accept being different, and it was not an easy thing to do. But now I believe it's like one of the biggest lessons to be different, right?
Mm.
To dare to be yourself and not get distracted by the outer world, but what is different, right? What does it mean really?
Mm.
It's only something if we need outside the other people, the reflections to see how different we are, right? Like this is very deep though. Like this is really, and for me, this is really deep.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Because it's all perception, right? It's like really deep. But for me, it's all about perception.
Yeah. The question that pops up to me many times is why even compare in the first place? Why this need for comparison?
Mm.
Exactly.
That's a peculiar thing.
Because at the end, we only want one thing: love
Mm.
and be loved. That's it, right? Like we're not so different at all.
Mm. To love and be
And I don't
loved.
know.
Mm.
Yeah, but also like the pain we endure. How different is it?
Oh,
It's frozen.
A different
Oh, yeah, there you go.
association with the pain.
we lost you for a second there. Your screen
Mm.
froze, so we didn't get that.
Um, I lost my train of thought.
Mm.
Yes, what I said was the pain we endure, right? Like
Mhm.
it's it's perception that makes it different, right? Like what makes it unique as well. The way we feel about it, the way we think about it. I think it's the most beautiful thing in this experience for us all to be so different and still one as well.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking that different has two sides to it. It's different, like you're not like me, and it is different in the sense like as in change, as in something that's alive. It's constantly changing. It's also different. But so on one hand, there is the adventure there. There is the change. Like I don't know what's going to happen in the next moment. There's a difference there. Or you who has something to tell me that I've never experienced before. But also, if you pull it back, it's that sense that we to belong somewhere, and then there is the fear to be different. But underneath that is actually the fear of being left out, of not belonging, of, and I see that theme in many aspects, and it's fear of not being seen, not being heard, not being accepted for who you are. So there is two kinds of difference there. I think if the difference is being looked through the lens of fear, then we create a lot of problems, as many as we can see in the world around us today. But if you can look into through difference through the eye of adventure, through well, it's more the lens like something that's alive. It's constantly different. Then there is something new to be found there. It's not repeating. Because the opposite of difference is the same. It's no change. I think actually that's where the danger is at. That it's not alive at all. It's mechanical almost. That's a peculiar thing.
And with like when you're on this path, and you are different, like almost like you are like different than the day before or than half a year ago. And
as long as I'm alive.
Yeah, you keep changing.
Yeah.
And that is like I think also like in the beginning I was like, what? Like these people, why can't I just be living in like they're still living there where I used to live and be happy with that? But I have like a longing to me to know more, to be more, to understand more, to travel more, to get to know people more. Like I have that like deep like intrinsic knowing, like wanting to know more, and like especially like researching and like getting to the information of what in what kind of reality are we actually living. What am I, what's like this is like such a like I keep wanting to know more, and it's really fascinating.
The joy of discovery.
Yeah.
You can only find the known in the unknown, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way. So yeah, it says in the words as well, make a difference. Make it different. Like it's a choice. It's a choice for being totally yourself, right? Trust yourself. Trust the unknown. Because life is an adventure, and most of us forgot to see the world to the innocence of a child, right? Like a big adventure. And even in the eyes of a child, fear is also acceptable. Because excitement goes with a little bit of fear as well, right? It's what we discussed the last time we were together. With the fear, with the tiger, and the mental fear.
Yeah, I think a child just knows that fear of the tiger, but not the mental fear yet. It doesn't have that much memory yet of the things that hurt or. So you can be more open to the new, to the unknown.
Exactly. What we know already. Or we think we know, at least. We don't really know, we know.
I think it goes even deeper than that. It's like the older you get, the more your mind tries to find security in repeating known patterns. Like, okay, there's some sense of safety in there. At least then we know what we're going to get. But it's not real safety. It's a false sense of safety. And it's actually dangerous to keep repeating things without checking reality. It's also something that's very obvious when we look at humanity, repeating the same things over and over again and destroying your own environment because we don't check what's happening now. So I think it's actually a trick of our own mind. It tries to help us by finding some sense of security, but it's actually creating something very dangerous in this repetition, which is very mechanical, which is basically not even alive anymore. We lose the sense of reality, I think, the sense of the true now, where life is to be found, where our real attention is creating stuff that we.
And in that loop of fear, you're only manifesting that fear constantly over.
Yeah, it's like a perpetual movement, constantly.
So to come back on different, right? Like now I accept myself fully, and now I accept that I'm different. It took a while though. Because I thought it was something wrong.
I need to be the same.
That's what everybody first thinks. Like there's something wrong with me. Like I'm different, and you really think like, oh, there's something. Like I also always thought like, oh, this like really something not okay with me, and then I want to try to be someone else, or like in the hope that people liked me. If I do my best in everything, and I was the best, like a good girl, and then I was like, oh, they might love me then, if I am like that, and or afraid to hurt people, like with triggering and like walking on eggshells a lot of times. But then you see, like, yeah, everybody has their own wounds. Like you can just be yourself, but also we are so afraid what people think of us. It's like I want to let go of that more and more. And I'm like, this is like almost ingrained in us, like
because that's the way we're being raised by our parents and by school. If you're doing it wrong, you get punished. So you're constantly being afraid of being punished. That gets that openness that is in every child. It gets like pushed down. Like, okay, I cannot just express myself the way I feel today. I need to think about what I'm doing, because maybe I get a pat on the fingers or worse. So it gets squeezed out of you. Yeah, it's actually conditioning.
Let us all be the same. Like that's the problem. We cannot be the same. We are all our authentic self. Even if we try, and we all tried it didn't work out. Like that's what you said, right? Like it's impossible to try.
It's also an illusion.
Really are.
But in Holland, you have like it's like if you're already a bit different, like they say, if you do normal, then you're already crazy. And putting your head above the maaiveld, like above the others, like your head gets cut off. They also have such like things that like sayings, like
these Dutch verbs.
Like they glorify you being
sober people. They are called.
Right? Don't stick out, because then you get So that actually, I think it's I'm just realizing now, like it's actually ingrained in school, and in the way, and our parents also went to school, so the way they raise us is actually in the same way, like try to fit in, and that actually disconnects you from yourself, because you cannot express yourself in the way that you really want to. So you try to conform yourself to what society expects of you, and by the time you're an adult, that becomes the normal. And then by the time you're 30, you get some kind of burnout, because you've been living your life in a way that doesn't feel right to you, and that gives you all kinds of psychological and physiological problems. Because you were never able to express yourself. So then becomes the journey to finding yourself back again. Peel away the layers that people have told you to be, the good son, the good parent, the good worker. And then that inner child that we're always talking about is somewhere underneath there. And you need to raise it all from scratch, basically, because it never was able to grow up. It was just having a mask pulled over itself. Like, this is the way I have to behave now. That's not expressing me. So yeah, diversity. I'm coming back to diversity. Well, diversity is something that somehow is in my mind as something to be celebrated. I don't even remember where that's coming from. And being different, that has some kind of implication to it, that's something bad. You're different. but diversity is something that we can celebrate. That's actually like the mosaic that makes the whole more beautiful, I would say. I think that's the journey that we're on, basically, right? Pulling ourselves out of the mold and stretching ourselves back into our own shape again, basically.
Yeah, I believe the only disease is disconnection. Everything comes from that. That's why the program learns us to look outside of ourselves, right?
That's
the
also,
biggest problem. And because we look outside of ourselves, we can only see others. And this is where the mental imprisonment starts if you want to be that other person instead.
Or look for affirmation in that other person. Well, why not affirm yourself?
Exactly.
Yeah. Makes you very vulnerable to outside manipulation if you're being raised like that. It's probably not a coincidence.
Yeah, to like almost like obeying authority. And I was like what the parents say, what the teacher says, what your boss says, what the doctor says. So fully believing that, and I really had that very ingrained, and doing everything what everybody expected. But then I had indeed also a burnout just before I was 30. And then for the first time, I was actually thinking, what do I actually want to know? What do I want to do? And like, oh, I can say no. Like it's like really crazy. Like I didn't have that in mind. Like I said, like I was really like rebellious against authority if it came to other people, but not so much to myself.
Well, I've just realized would like to ask you even like when that happened, that burnout, did you even know what you really wanted yourself? Isn't that something that from that moment on, then you could start to find out? You still had to find out. Hey, what do I even like? What is this? You know that is something that starts right there. Like I have to throw away everything that I thought I liked, and now I need to taste everything anew and start to see like, hey, do I really like this or not? I didn't even know.
Interesting, the process, like what do I actually want, and then like start questioning myself and what asking myself things, and it's almost before that I was doing everything on automatic pilot. Because I didn't have that realizations, like questioning my reality.
It's almost like being born again.
Yeah.
Almost sounding like a Christian here, but in a sense, it's being born again. But this time, you do it yourself.
Was necessary, right? It was like the feeling.
Yeah. Exactly.
Really interesting. But in the moment when you're in it, it feels really heavy and dense. But then after, you're really grateful that it happened. But that is a lot of times when you have you go to like a sort of dark night, where you go to certain emotions, and then after you're like liberated again, and then there's more freedom.
Yeah. I think that's also something that's being done in our upbringing, that a lot of these emotions are being downplayed as being bad. Like anger, that's definitely has a negative notation to it, or sadness, or being sad, that would be looked upon as weakness and stuff like that. While it's all part of you, and in these dark nights, as you call it, that's where the growth is to be found. So, but if we keep avoiding that with all kinds of ways, and entertainment and you name it, there is all kinds of ways to keep avoiding all these negative feelings. Then there is there will never be growth. Then I will never outgrow this old me that I will just avoid every time it starts to hurt. But change is friction. Change will make a little bit of hurt. Growing, that's also that hurts. But in avoiding that hurt, you will never grow. So you will never. Yeah, I cannot really find the right words. Maybe you can add to it, but
it needs to be expressed. Emotion is energy in motion. Yes, I know. I understand that anger, they see it as bad, but that's only the behavior that stems from the anger.
Yeah.
You can feel anger. The anger is like always welcome, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's how we decide how to act on it. Like, are
Yeah.
we becoming silent, or can we only like heighten our voice? Because
Mm-hmm.
like there are different ways
Yeah,
of
usually about boundaries, right? When people are going across your boundaries, then it's like, hey, cut it out. That is where the place of anger is at. And I shouldn't be getting so angry that I'm actually going to kill somebody. Yeah, that's what you mean. Like it's in the action
Yeah,
and the way you deal with it. But anger in itself is good because it tells me that somebody is going over my boundary. So I need to warn him not to get too close or not to to pay some
exactly.
respect here. And it's the same with
Sure.
sadness, where it gets this annotation of weakness. While it's the older I get, the more I see that it's actually it's a strength to be able to show your weakness and not being
Mm.
afraid that it will make you stumble or fall. I'm strong enough to hold my own, and I can still show my sadness or my grief in certain ways. So it's I think it's a way of destabilizing and making people actually disconnect from their authentic self. Because if I deny my anger, if I deny my sadness and my grief, I'm moving away from myself.
Exactly. For me, how I work for it personally, I communicate always. If I'm angry,
Mm,
if I'm sad, I always communicate. When I communicate, I'm willing to let go. First, if I listen what I communicate, I um, confess it for myself
yeah.
before I let it go. You know what I mean? So
Mm,
for me, communication is to be in communion with the whole of existence.
yes.
This is how I like to handle with emotion.
Mm, that's a good.
In
That's
the
a nice
now.
way
So
of.
I never wait, always in the now. When it happens, that's the opportunity. That's the moment
Mm,
that I release the energy, but I
mm,
choose how.
mm. And I think, yeah, I think it's probably that a lot of people just never learned a proper way how to express these. And they're searching for a way, or they don't know, and they just avoid it in the first place. Don't even try. But I totally agree with what you just said. Like it needs to be, it needs the attention, and actually giving it the attention that it needs in the moment that it, yeah.
Oh,
Say hi.
hey.
Hey.
I'm going to mama. Say bye
Hey.
bye.
Hey. Beautiful.
Oh, I
Mm,
had
Sorry for the interruption.
this week when I was sitting next to the pool, I was sitting there, and then there was a little child asking her father, like, what is she doing? And the father said, yeah, she's meditating. She's meditating. That is what we also always do every morning. And then I heard the little girl saying, she looks very happy. And I said, like,
Wow.
yeah, I said, like, I'm mostly very happy, and I also give yoga for children, and they were so happy to hear that. And but it's like really like it's nice to hear that people doing that with their children, like meditating, and that they know what it is, and they see me and they know immediately, like, hey, there's something happening there.
mm,
So that was interesting, and I really like through meditation, you feel like you can't hide, like everything comes. Like if you're sitting, you can't like go somewhere else. Like then the emotions come, then the things come. Like, do you actually need to do? Like there's no running away from anything. So it's like, I mean, you become also more aware in the
mm,
moment, I feel. But I needed it first to be more disciplined to really feel what I needed to feel. And
mm,
now it's more and more like every day is one big meditation. Like if you're in the now, you just feel it in the now. Like I feel
yeah.
like it's one meditation, but I'm very sensitive. Like I like if I feel something, it needs to be expressed. So like my parents still can't handle me if
Mm,
I cry very quickly, and then they're both like
mm.
very stressed, like I don't know what to do.
They don't know how to handle it.
No,
Yeah,
no.
that's relatable.
It's beautiful because this is very different than most people in the world. So
Mm,
beautiful to be emotionally different than the collective.
Yeah. Also.
To trust and embrace all the feelings, the energy that comes in and goes out, and like it's part of life, and it's just beautiful. Like, and I realize it's hard for them to handle such freedom in emotion.
Yeah, I have a lot of people, like, they see me crying and they say, oh, I wish I could do that. It's like I wish I could feel it like you doing, but
What's
it's
stopping you?
so difficult. No, it's really like it's not easy. That's like also when I'm like I do also healings and people can come to me to share things. Like a lot of times they need someone else to be able to express certain things because they can't fully go there by themselves. A lot of people are afraid of that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But it's also the happy feelings, the joy, we're like also not used to that. Like they think you're crazy because you're happy and you're like expressing that and being happy. Like I really feel like I felt always like in my normal everyday reality. Like I came every day to my job like, hey, good morning, and I had a lot of people on my phone. I was like, hey, nice to hear you again, and I was like, people think that is also strange because they're also not used to that. Like it's always like, and when I
It's a
got my
bit dumb.
burnout, one person said, "Yeah, it was inevitable because you were always happy every day. Like it needs to be." And I was like, now I'm even more happier because I'm actually aware of my happiness and what makes me more happy.
I think it all stems from childhood. When children are too happy, they have ADHD. They let him cool down a little bit, and he's just happy. Tries to express himself, so he gets scolded a lot, and he's getting taught to not being too happy because then people don't like me when I'm happy, and stuff like that. Same with crying. Don't cry. If I'll give you something to cry. That's something that I see parents do. I even raise children, let them cry in the other room with babies. That's the way we raise children here in the West. Well, the baby just wants the safety of the mother. I think we discussed it before that indigenous people, they carry their children on the skin for the first 3 years of their lives. The first 2 years, they don't even touch the ground. So I think a lot of that behavior that we just talk about, that adults are like, hey, I want to be happy too, or I want to express my feelings too. I think that all stems from traumatic experiences in childhood, where these emotions getting pushed back in by their parents or by adults around them.
Even from 0 to 3, there the manipulation of the parents begins. They don't listen to the rhythm of their children. They are forced to a 9 to 5 job, so they are forced to bring a children. They are like, instead of listening, so the children can learn how to listen to their own rhythm and to.
Exactly. Oh, he's breaking up again.
But it's also interesting, like we have
to learn how it is like.
Yeah, you froze, but you're back.
Yeah, the rhythm is so important that we push our way of living on a little baby, on a human being who is just learning how to live, right? Like you need to find out for yourself. You know what I mean? Like your own rhythm, no manipulation.
Yeah.
We are here to guide. We parents have forgotten to listen to our children even. But they are the next generation. So it's logical that they will be a better me than I am now. Right? Like this is evolution. This is our children are our upgrade. So that's why shouldn't we listen more to the children?
You would think so. Yeah. That's very peculiar what you're saying right now.
Yeah, because they say like consciousness, they further, and then you can learn from them. But also it's about learning from each other, and that is really beautiful because with your child you can really raise it like like that the child already is like conscious in a very early age, and that is really beautiful.
Yeah, but I'm also getting an epiphany here by the story of Ricardo about children, that we should guide our children, so then they have the freedom to express themselves. You just guide it a little bit, like don't go too far away from yourself. But what we're actually doing now in modern society, if we don't guide them, we push them back in. We push these emotions, and we give each other the feeling that these emotions are bad. You shouldn't express yourself in such a way. You need to think straight and then keep them in check. So in that sense, because that upgrade thing that you just said, that kind of resonated with me. Like, there should be our upgrade. We should be building on our own each experience and getting better and better and better and better. And what we see happening in history is it's like we're downgrading. And actually, it makes sense now a little bit to me, because we're actually downgrading our own children. We don't give them the guidance and the freedom to express themselves and to grow in that sense. Nice, right? And then we're back into our topic, because that diversity, that's actually where this change is to be found. If I want to make a copy of myself, a little mini me, well, a copy is always less than the original.
Exactly.
It's just occurred to me this. Wow.
Yeah. Let there be their own original, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's actually
And yeah, we need to
it all
guide
makes
them.
sense.
What we have learned here in our lives that's important, we give them as well, like the safety things and what's important, like
Yeah.
self-love, responsibility, letting go, that kind of thing. But all we can do is be the example we love to see in the world.
Yeah.
So let's make that difference, right? Like that's the only way to make that difference.
Yeah.
Be the example you want to see in the world, and let the children guide, like find their own way. Like we have forgotten to trust our own children. That's why
Yeah, I was
we
just also
can't
thinking
control
we should
them.
guide them, and they could guide us in a way, with their innocence.
It's always a
Yeah.
two-way street, right? Always
Yeah.
a two-way street.
Wow.
Yeah.
It looks so simple, when you're just three human beings just looking at this problem, and then you see the solution right away. I've had these epiphanies many times with people, and then you're like, what makes it so difficult? That we as a humanity are so far from this easy road.
I believe that what we find together, we integrate and we live. And what we do together is for the whole of the collective.
Yeah.
Planting seeds in the collective. All we can do is be patient when they are ready to water their seeds, or they stumble onto a burnout, or whatever is necessary for inner growth, right?
Yeah.
I feel that's what I said for me. This is
You need an upgrade on your
what
connection. You
Oh,
froze
now you're
again.
back. You froze again. Now you're back.
But our vulnerability is our authenticity.
Yeah. To be able to show it.
And show that
to know them and not being afraid of them also.
Yeah, and also not thinking like you're perfect. You don't have to be. Like, it's also really strange how you, like, in the past maybe didn't want to make any faults or like mistakes, or like wanted to do it as good as possible. And now you're like, it's just me. I don't care about, like, you learn from your mistakes. Like, you don't even want to be perfect.
I would phrase it differently. I think you're already perfect.
Yeah, also, yeah.
But I think it's a thing of the mind that always wants to be something different than what it is. But it's already all here. We don't need some course to be ourselves. We just need to express it yes, as Ricardo said, just be. You are, you're in the course. It's moving. It's a movement. Yeah. It's already
Life
perfect.
is one big mystery school.
Yeah. Also. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, and but also what Ricardo said, it's also about self-love and like accepting yourself as you are. And in the past, I really couldn't. Like I was also like I really didn't like myself. Like I went to after my burnout, I went to like a hypnotherapist and he like affirmations. I love myself, and I couldn't say it like without crying, or it almost didn't come out of my mouth. But that is also something that like it's not it's almost like you have to find yourself again after like being disconnected, also disconnected from yourself, and that love inside yourself, you find that back, and then it grows and it grows like the like love for everything, but also love for yourself, and that is also really something like really beautiful that once you feel that, like there's nothing can take that away from you, like you will always have that. So
Yeah, you can only find something back that's already there, right?
It's funny what
So
you're saying.
you were already perfect, you just didn't know where to look.
Something came to me when I lost it. Maybe it's somewhere. Maybe it's somewhere.
It will come back to you.
most profound
It was about being different or diverse. It's the disconnection with self where everything looks all the same. I hope that makes sense.
Say that again? It's a
disconnection with self
yeah.
that everything around you does it make it feel all the same.
Because
It's
of the
like
disconnection with self makes everything seem the same, or the
exactly. So that's the behavior of like where everybody is stuck in the program. It's the same behavior. It has a different form.
That's the disconnection. Yeah, now I get it. Yeah.
Disconnection, because if you are get in connection with self in the center of your being, you will be totally different. You will be unique, authentic.
That's the authentic self. Yeah.
It's the hurt behavior that is disconnected from self, always looking outside of.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's what society is doing to people too, making them into a mold. We've seen many memes about this, people being cut into the same mold. And you can
it
only
makes sense now for me why everybody has a same kind of behavior, like
that's not natural.
No, it's not.
And I think you can only get that when people are disconnected from their real self. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's a deep one. Sorry.
Well, I always think it's wonderful that different people come to the same realization, not even through the same road, but you come to the same. You're looking in the same direction, come to the same conclusion almost. Wow, that's beautiful. Must be something there. There are no road signs, but we all end up there, huh?
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Yeah, that we all come to the same things, but it's like we all walk each other home. Like we all help, like
each other to the shore.
Yeah, help each other grow, and we have different ways of getting there. But once you get there, like you understand it, and then you feel it, like you're like even more on path, like on your path, like you like. And then it's like an interesting journey. This is like more and more like things that you unravel. But then also what you said, Ricardo, like on one hand, everything looks the same, but also everything is different. Like even if you do the same things, exactly the same things, it still feels different. It's like it looks
will
different.
never be the same.
Yeah.
So it needs to be a deja vu, right? Like otherwise it will never be the same.
Oh, wait, again? Say that.
Only a deja vu would be exactly the same thing in the moment, right?
And sometimes you have deja vus, but then you almost think like in your everyday reality, and you almost know like I dreamt about this, but it's also like as if you already know what's going to happen in like it's deep down somewhere.
Maybe we do.
Yeah.
Somewhere I know that what we are doing, I don't know what we are doing, but I know that we will prevail. That's what I know for sure.
Yes.
But the more you're like, even though you have no clue what it like, you're still figuring this whole reality out. But you have like, I feel like I really enjoy it much more than I ever did.
Exactly.
But I also have some things that I'm like, oh, if this would be there, I would even enjoy it even more. So it's also the road. They say also it's you want it because you will have it already in the future, and I like that also. That's why like what drives us is like almost like yeah. Like what regardless what it is, I want like more freedom and more love and more like authenticity, more being even more myself and helping others with that. And that is like something that I really love doing, and that can only grow.
Yeah. If I look at myself and I realize that I'm not really my focus is not on knowing, but just being, just doing what I feel I need to do in that day instead of knowing. In the last half year, the universe really humbled me down, and I let that knowing, that idea of knowing, totally slip away. I don't mind even. I love the unknown now. It's okay.
Yeah. I think we arrived to this point last time too, right? That the knowing is only in the way once you see that it's about the journey itself.
Yeah, it's about the journey and enjoying the journey, and not only the destination of certain things.
And this knowledge doesn't even point the way, because we just already seen that you walk your path, she walks you walk your path, I walk my path, but we all come in on the same spot, the so-called direction of truth. And it made me remember something that I saw this Krishnamurti say one time, that truth is a pathless land. He would always say, like, there is no one path to the truth, like these dogmas from religion and stuff like that, because it's a living thing. And we actually, and now it just makes sense, because what we're doing is and this sharing this knowledge toward each other. It doesn't mean that you're coming on the same spot as where I ended up. You have your own journey, and you're on the same spot where I ended up, and you're on a different journey, and you're ending up on the same spot that I. So this truth
Power
is a
of unity.
pathless land. It suddenly made sense to me. Yeah,
Now we
it's
do.
amazing.
Now we share truth in trees.
So, and in that sense, that diversity is also an illusion, because these three different paths come to the same truth. So difference is the same. There is already, it's like a paradox almost. That's amazing. Yeah, no knowledge. Bye.
Yeah.
Just being in the moment and enjoying
Yes.
the moment,
Yeah.
and that is really like it's
You
like what they
trust
said,
your
like
intuition, right? Oh,
Mm.
sorry.
I
You
really
trust
like
your
that
intuition.
saying. Before enlightenment, you get the water, and after enlightenment, you also have to get the water.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
You're totally right.
That's also cool. These phrases that you read like 20 years ago, like, oh yeah, and then you just repeat them, thinking that you're now a wise man, and now 20 years later you actually understand, starting to understand the deeper meaning of what it actually meant. That's amazing.
Because of the
Yeah.
experience, like you read the things and you feel resonating with them, you feel truth in them, but only when you really experience it,
Yeah.
then you really like you know, like it's a feeling inside, like and that is really interesting. And
Intuition, right?
yeah, that's your intuition and
Yes.
the
Inner
connection with
wisdom.
intuition. And also, like, I never had like one part. I had like so many different like people, and like what I resonate with. I want to learn like whatever comes. I want to learn from that. And I never had like a fixed this is, but it's also because you have to find your own truth. Like that's why it's so important to see like, hey, what resonates and what doesn't resonate with whoever is sharing things. Some things I resonate with and some things not. Like no one is like, it's the same. You need to have that difference, like that you find, well, what is truth for you, what is true for you. Yeah, that is also what I like. We can be like, and so a lot of things we can have different the same ideas, but also things that we have different ideas about, and that can all, and that I like that also, that can all be there. It's like it's fascinating to hear different perspectives of other people.
Yeah, different ideas about the same thing.
We can learn so much from each other if we are willing to listen to each other.
Yeah.
And that's also why it's important to throw the knowing away. Like it doesn't matter.
The
It's
moment
about
I
the
think I
experience.
know, I will not listen to you anymore because I already know. I try to explain this many times to people. The moment you start this dialogue with an opinion, you better just stop because there's no purpose anymore. You're not listening anymore. You need to be open.
And we are not here to convince anybody, right? We can only help those
I
who are
don't need to
willing to
convince
listen.
anybody. Yeah.
Exactly, like exactly.
That's something that I should thank you for that, Janneke, because that's I think the common thread throughout all these podcasts that we did. They always end up in a beautiful dialogue where people are adding to each other. Instead of what I see a lot most of the time is where it ends up in a discussion. Like it's my view, no, it's my view, and no, we add to each other. And by listening, I learned something from Ricardo, and he learned something by listening to you, and you learned something by listening to me, well, from the perspective that we'd not be able to see. That's beautiful. Yeah, thank you for that, for making me a part
Thank
of it.
you as well.
And that's
your
also
outro.
co-creating. That's the co-creating. We're learning from each other like so much, and that is like yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Very, very powerful. Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
I've nothing more to say.
Yeah, I also feel it's complete, I think. But it was again a really, really beautiful talk, as as always. And thank you very much. And everybody also thank you for watching. Yeah, so I really like to share all these talks and be in this and learn from each other. And I yeah, and oh yeah, in the end we also do a bit short intro, like a bit more telling a bit more about ourselves. So where do we come from and why we're doing this, or like what you are doing anyway also. So maybe you want to instead of like an introduction at the beginning, we do like an outro introduction. So
Introduction.
Introduction, a bit different. So if you want to share like a bit about yourself.
Okay, I will start. I will keep it short. I'm just human being sharing my part in life, I guess. Still finding out. Yeah. You can find me on your Facebook if you have any questions or want to share something. That will be it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Ricardo, and me and my wife, my little daughter, we live a nomad life. To be of service, we go from place to place, and we enjoy to the fullest. And you can find our on Instagram under the name PH Space Passing Life, and you can find us also on TikTok. And we are always willing to connect.
Beautifully said.
I will share all the links from all of you down so people can find it. Yeah, and I call myself Miss Hellbreaker, and that is my real surname. And that is what I hear, like, want to break free from everything as much as possible, and help others break free as well, like in every way, like mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, like whatever you need. I have some things that can help you, and that is what I'm just here of service in whatever way I can help you with. And I mostly do that with energy healings and energy healing courses, and other things as well, webinars and workshops and stuff, and yoga meditation as well. So, and talks and podcasts. I make lots of videos and talks and podcasts because I'm so excited and inspired by this whole reality all the time. So I need to share, I need to share that. Like, I make videos of like whatever, like every time it's something else. I just love this. I love this reality. I really love this reality, and I fall in more and more love with this reality. And I feel also, if people see it more through my eyes, they would maybe also like it more. But yeah, you can't make them. But at least I keep sharing this. And thank you for this wonderful talk. And thank you everybody for being here, and wishing you all lots of love. And keep being the difference that this world needs. And we all need you exactly as you are.
It's all good.